back to another election edition of Meet Victoria with Caleb Shaw, powered by ThriveFuel Digital Marketing. Guys, early voting is February 14th through the 25th, and Election Day is March 1st. We are very blessed today to have the incumbent for Victoria County Clerk sitting with us. Young lady, if you wouldn't mind, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Caleb. My name's Heidi Easley. I am 52 years old.
Yeah, we won't tell anybody that. No, nobody's going to hear that.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
That's our little secret.
I've been a Victoria County resident since I was about 11 years old, so for over 40 years. Graduated from Stroman High School when it was a high school. Went on to Sam Houston State University and graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Ag Business in 1991. Moved back home, well, left home, but came back home and decided I didn't want to go work in Houston where there was always 3 hours of traffic going one way or the other coming home.
Did you see me get a little twitch when you just said that? Like
yes.
I'm getting road rage just a little bit, slightly, yes ma'am. So you resonated with me there.
Yes, I got stuck in that traffic a few times going to interviews, and I decided that's, when most of your life there is stuck going to and from work.
No.
That's no place. That's no place I want to, raise a family or anything like that. So came back home, started working for the county on June 13th, 1994. So quite some time ago. Been with the county ever since. I worked with Val Hoover. He was my first boss in the county, and worked there until 1999. And left about mid-year then, went over to the district attorney's office because let's face it, I could make more money. So I mean that's one of the big turnover issues is money.
For that. That's what most people seek in a job. Yes, ma'am.
And stayed there for 15 years. I worked my way up from a misdemeanor legal assistant up the way to chief clerk of the felony section, and I really decided 4 years prior to when I ran that I wanted to get involved. And then once Mr. Cortez, bless his heart, he took over, and I noticed that there was something lacking. There was a need for someone who had been in the office, who knew how it worked, who knew more than just management. Because in order to really lead, you need to know.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I started thinking back in 2010, finally decided to go ahead in 2014. I had a lot of encouragement, a lot of support from my boss at the time, Steve Tyler, from my husband, from my family, and everybody's like, well, if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it. I was almost to 20 years with the county, so, if for some reason it didn't work out, I still had a job or I could retire.
Yes, ma'am.
So I had a little bit of comfort going into that, and I think I did in the campaign, in the election, I was surprised at the amount of support that I had. But we've been rocking and rolling ever since.
Now, for those, and I'm just going to have to lay my cards right out on the table with you, I'm pretty ignorant to what the county clerk does, and don't backhand me or anything, but and that may be a good thing if you're just flying kind of under, and it's not a place where you're on the news every day for screwing something up, or you're not voting policy, you're not implementing taxes on people, you're not raising taxes. But what do you do? And I don't say that, I don't mean you, but I mean the county clerk. I don't really know, other than I get the record keeping part, but I don't even know if I fully understand that. Can you talk a little bit about what that job is and kind of what the duties of the county clerk are?
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Not at all. Most people will come see us when they need a marriage license or when they're starting a business. We do the assumed name certificates. So a bank will say, hey, go to the clerk's office and get your DBA form.
You helped me do mine. Now that I think about that,
yes.
When I opened Shaw Realty, you helped me do that. Yes, ma'am. I remember on the phone talking to you now that I say that out loud.
Yeah. And so we do that. We record the deeds, liens, things like that, anything having to do with your real property records. We keep all of that information. We handle military discharges. So anyone that's heading out of the military, when they get discharged, they have their DD-214 papers.
Yes, ma'am.
We file those for safekeeping, and so that the family can come get those at any time should they need them.
Gotcha.
And usually that happens when the military personnel has passed away and they need that for funeral information and benefits and things such as that.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a good place to save that. And I'll talk about our program, our Think of It program in a
Yeah,
little bit too.
and real quick on those DD Form 214s, is that something, does the military member, does he have to turn that into you guys for you to have that when he gets out, or is that something that the government does as part of their, or when we separate?
It would be the military person themselves, the veteran, that would
Gotcha.
come in and file that. Now, there are some times that they can't find the records, and we send them over to the vet center.
Yes, ma'am.
And they
Got
have
it.
always been so great working with us on getting them what they need. And so they come in, they file it, there's no charge. They can get certified copies at any time at no charge.
Wonderful.
And it is not an open record.
Okay, good.
So that
was
is
my next.
secure.
Yes.
That is secure. It's not out there for the public to see. They may see that you have a discharge on file, but when they click on that icon to look at the document, they're not going to see anything.
Roger that. Well, no, that's good to know. What are some of your priorities as the incumbent and as somebody who's continuing the jobs of the? I know you guys just had a big program that you implemented, or a big upgrade. Why don't you tell me about that first, if you don't mind?
The recording notification
Yes,
service, that is hopefully coming into fruition. We're anticipating going live at the end of February, the 1st of March. And what that does is that's going to allow people that have property in Victoria to enter their email address in this program. You're going to go to our webpage, you'll click on the link, you'll enter your email address, you'll enter the information that you want to have provided to you. Say if it's your parents' address, you'll enter their information, their name, name only. And that will go into the system to where when something is recorded in our office, if it has their name associated with it to where we index it, which would mean they would be buying or selling, then it's going to alert them. It's going to send an email to whomever it has designated to send. And it's more than one person. Say if you and your brothers wanted to go on there.
Right.
And say, you know, if your mom or if your dad or your stepdad or any of your siblings, you know, you could do that and be alerted.
Gotcha.
And the thing is that, you know, with COVID, we've really pivoted to digitalizing. We've had our records digitalized.
Yes, ma'am.
But as far as filing and recording documents, there are more people using the e-recording service than ever before.
I can imagine.
It used to be a 60-30 split when I came into office, and now we've reverted to about, you know, 30-60 and then 10% walk-in.
Wow. Wow.
So it's been quite a shift, but you know, we have adapted to that. We've upgraded our systems. We work with our record case management system. We work with our vendor really well on that because we've implemented the brand module on that.
Yes, ma'am.
And what that does is allow people to search brands online. Say you have a cow out next door, and it's got a brand on it, has no ear tag, you don't know who it belongs to. If you can figure out what that brand looks like, if it's an E with a rocking chair underneath it, a little rocker, so you look up E. And it's going to give you the listing of people that have a brand that's registered with E. And then you click on the little icon and you can pull up the brand. So it helps identify things. I really put it in place mainly for law enforcement. The people that have to go out, constables, your sheriff's office, things like that, they've got to go out and see these animals out there. You know, if they don't have an ear tag with a phone number, here, oh look, you can look at this brand.
It's an additional tool for them out in the field.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Is this the same thing as, I know we've started to get, as technology has evolved and more things are going digital, where people's titles have been to their homes and stuff like that have been fraudulently taken and
Yes.
and stuff. Is this the system that is designed to help prevent that and to alert in those in situations like that?
Right. Mainly it's to alert. If a document has all the requirements that are necessary for filing, we are required by law to file it.
Got it.
This gives the extra measure of protection for the owners. Should something happen like this, they're going to be notified. And then we're going to be getting with law enforcement to find out where we need to direct them. Do we need to direct them to the Attorney General's office? Do we need to direct them to local law enforcement? So I'll be getting with the Chief of Police and the Sheriff and seeing where we need to go on that.
Because that could suck real bad to wake up one day and your house not be yours anymore, or
To get that
something,
notice on the door saying,
yes, ma'am.
we're foreclosing on you.
Yeah.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, and I'm not overly familiar with anything in Victoria hitting there yet, but I
No.
appreciate that we're getting out in front of it and trying to prevent that, and at least catch ourselves to where we have notification systems in place and can help and stuff. And so,
and
that's
there's
awesome.
there's a few other things that our office does. we handle the commissioner's court. We handle both
you keep
county
all those
courts.
guys in line? That's you.
No, in fact, I tell you what, I will say that I like the setup in the newer courtroom where I'm to the side better than being between some of them. When they've gotten into disagreements, I usually push my chair back. So it's been a lot nicer now.
Get caught in that crossfire?
Absolutely. But we handle both county courts at law, and that would be misdemeanor records. It would be civil and probate, mental case hearings if necessary, and juvenile hearings. So we cover all of that. So I have clerks designated for that purpose. And they go in every time there's a docket. I have a clerk there. If it's a criminal docket, they handle the paperwork and the disposition. They have to report it to CJIS, which is the Criminal Justice Information System. So if that defendant is ever pulled over or anything, if they have to run the record on it, it's going to show. And it's really important because you only have a certain amount of time to get that reported after that case is disposed of. So there's a lot of different little intricacies.
Yeah, it sounds roughly, and I don't need a hard count on this, and you didn't know I was going to ask this, but roughly how many people are in, when you talk, you have a clerk for this and all that, how many roughly is your staff or is the office that you guys that you're over?
Right now we're at 14, including myself.
Okay.
I do have one empty position, but I was kind of waiting until after March because, I'll be honest with you, I'm optimistic, but I'm also realistic. So I want people that have interviewed before, and when I decided just to kind of pull back, to let them know, hey, come March 1st, depending on how the election goes, I may not be here. I pray to God I will, and I put a lot of faith in the community and the voters, but realistically, I had to put that out there. So
I don't have an issue with that though, because that shows to me that you are being realistic about things and your hope, but you don't know how elections are going to go, and
No.
rather than, hey, I'm going to do this to make my job easier, you made the best decision on what was best for the office, and I don't have any issue with that.
And one of the things about the office is the fact that I can go out there and I can help. If people come into my office, when you go in, you take a hard left, you'll walk into my office. The door is 99.9% always open. Come in, visit. Some of my staff members are like,
It's okay, let them.
It's okay, come in. Let me see if I can help you.
I'm pretty sure I did. Like I called the first time, and then I think because I don't like talking on the phone much, and I usually don't know what I'm doing when it comes to all the record keeping and stuff. And I feel like this was years ago, but I feel like I just went down there because it was just easier to walk in and say, help me with this, and you guys did, and everybody took care of me, and it was nice, and so we're kind of getting short on time already. I apologize. I talk so much. It's my fault. As we kind of narrow up, why you? Why, you are the incumbent. Why should we continue with you? Why are you the one we should vote on to take this office and continue running things?
When I decided to run, it was because I wanted to make a difference. It wasn't because I was asked to run. It wasn't because it was an increase in paycheck. I mean, obviously that is a reason that a lot of people do. I saw a need for change in that office at the time to where you had a leader that knew what was going on, a leader that could go in and help with the criminal, help with the courts, help with the juvenile courts, get out there and actually serve the public and help the customers too. It's not just something that my staff does, I do it as well. And that's very important for me to be able to do that. They're like, well, let me do this. I'm like, no, I need to do this every once in a while. Yeah, yes, because I'm not going to ask them to do anything that I've not done before.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd prefer to do the testing first, and let me get into it. Let me get in, like you said, into the trenches. My job is to serve the public.
Yes, ma'am.
Not to dictate, you do this, you do this. There's a certain amount of responsibility that's pushed out. But in a nutshell, everything comes back on me.
Yes, ma'am.
If there's a problem, I'm responsible. So I always encourage people, come in and talk to me. If you think there's a way to make it better, please let me know. We are really restrained by cost, though. We are only budgeted a certain amount of money.
Ma'am.
So there's only so much technology you can put in, not only financially, but legally as well. So, I want to serve. I want to continue to serve. It means a great deal to me. And I just thank everyone for their support. I thank everyone for the support over the last 4 years, actually 7 years, 8 years.
I was going to say more than one.
And
how can
so,
they find your page and contact information?
I'm on Facebook. I believe it's Reelect Heidi Easley, County Clerk.
Easy to find in
Or
the search bar.
You can just search bar Heidi Easley, County Clerk, and it probably will come up. I don't have a web page, but Facebook, social media is
That's kind
really
of the new
out
webpage.
there.
Yes, ma'am.
For things that you want to see about what we're doing in our office, you can go to www.vctx.org and then look at the county clerk page, because I run that page, I run our Facebook page. We go in and make any changes or updates, and we want to make sure that the public is aware of current events and happenings. If we have cancellations, if we have office restrictions because of COVID, we only allow 2 sets of customers in at a time.
Gotcha.
So we try to keep everyone updated as much as possible. And like I said, we put what we're required to put on there by law, and we make sure that we keep whatever we can't disclose off of there.
Appreciate it. On that note, young lady, I'm going to have to wrap the show. Thank you so much for coming in. Guys, this is Heidi Easley, Victoria County Clerk Incumbent. Early voting is February 14th through the 25th. Sorry, February 14th through the 25th, and Election Day is March 1st. Guys, we will see you at the next one. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Caleb.
Yes, ma'am.